The World Bank said that until an adequate macroeconomic policy framework is in place, the World Bank does not plan to offer new financing to Sri Lanka. This requires deep structural reforms that focus on economic stabilization and also on addressing the root structural causes that created this crisis to ensure that Sri Lanka's future recovery and development is resilient and inclusive. The World Bank Group said that it is deeply concerned about the dire economic situation and its impact on the people of Sri Lanka. In May 2022, Sri Lanka fell into default for the first time in its history as the government struggled to halt an economic meltdown that prompted mass protests and a political crisis. Thereafter, Sri Lanka approached the International Monetary Fund for talks on seeking monetary assistance. The International Monetary Fund has asked cash-strapped Sri Lanka to restructure its huge foreign debt before a bailout program could be finalized. Sri Lanka held several rounds of discussions with the IMF, and their delegates also visited Sri Lanka. The IMF talks with Sri Lanka were at an early stage, and discussions will continue virtually towards reaching a staff-level agreement on the EFF arrangement in the near term. It is important for Sri Lanka to secure a facility from the International Monetary Fund in order to overcome the massive forex crisis that it is facing. The United States of America, that has a major say with the IMF, has directly called for Sri Lanka's debt to be restructured.
Indeed, over the past 2 decades, China became one of Sri Lanka's biggest creditors, offering often opaque loan deals at higher interest rates than other lenders, and financing a raft of headline-grabbing infrastructure projects with often questionable practical use for Sri Lankans. Now that economic conditions have soured, Beijing has promised lines of credit and emergency loans. This is critical, since Beijing is estimated to hold at least 15% of Sri Lanka's foreign debt. But calls to provide more significant relief have so far gone unanswered. And the biggest question of all is whether Beijing will restructure debt to the same extent as other bilateral creditors.
Fitch Ratings also echoed the same sentiments in a statement yesterday, adding that debt negotiations could be complicated by debt owed to China, and this amounted to $5 billion at the end of 2020. China has traditionally preferred to offer relief for large loans through deferrals such as maturity extensions, payment rescheduling or grace periods rather than through write-downs. However, this approach could increase challenges for Sri Lanka to successfully negotiate debt restructuring with other creditors, including private creditors, that delivers the debt sustainability sought by the IMF. Fitch rates Sri Lanka's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at RD, or restricted default. China yesterday responded to the claims made by the head of the US government aid agency. China's foreign ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said that China-Sri Lanka practical cooperation has always followed the principles of being Sri Lanka-led. The spokesperson said that all cooperation projects have gone through scientific planning and thorough assessment and are never attached with any political strings. He said that the share of China-related debts is far lower than that of the international capital market and multilateral development banks. China's foreign ministry spokesperson stressed that the global economic and financial markets have suffered enormously as a result of the US's recent sudden interest rate hike and balance sheet reduction, which have rapidly siphoned off dollars on top of the US's strong-running quantitative easing policy and irresponsible massive stimulus. It is a decisive matter for Sri Lanka, that is facing a massive foreign reserve crisis, to reach a financial facility from the International Monetary Fund after securing a staff-level agreement. However, it is now said that Sri Lanka must restructure its Chinese debt before accessing such a facility from the International Monetary Fund. With these latest developments, Sri Lanka's envoy to China said that President Ranil Wickremesinghe will fly to China soon.